All righty, I show at 4:30 to call this meeting to order. Angie, can you call a roll?
Commissioner Bailey.
Here.
Commissioner Bunting.
Present.
Commissioner Lumberman.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Murphy.
Here. John, could you give us a prayer tonight?
Heavenly Father, bless our meeting tonight with guidance and wisdom as we try to pursue the best interests of the taxpayers of Gratiot County. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have one change I know about on the agenda. We're scratching new business number 1. Health Department grants been taken care of, I've been informed. Anyone have anything else to change or add to the agenda?
I would like to add that we get a report from the sheriff on to our county and how things are going.
All righty. Okey doke. So let's see, we'll make that number 10. Mike, you figure for the whole meeting or will you? Okay. All righty, we're looking for a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Commissioner Bailey, support by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. Brief public comment. Any member of the public,
I'm going to introduce 2 new deputies. Our 2 newest deputies, Timothy Mahoney and Abigail Loomis. Tim graduated from Kirkland Community College Police Academy on December 2nd. He started full-time with us today. Abby graduated from Delta's College Police Academy last Friday, and she started with us yesterday. So our 2 newest deputies, that puts me only 1 down. So we're happy to have them. And we made a conditional offer to Abby back in, before you even started the police academy, back in, I think, July, pending passing the police academy. And Tim, we made a conditional offer, I think, in November. Yeah. So we're happy to have them.
welcome aboard.
They're out riding today, so I'll let them
Awesome.
do their business. So thank you.
Well, they're gonna get a baptism in the snow coming, right?
Yeah. I think Abby, you're on this weekend, aren't you? So
Uh-oh.
yes. Saving skills are. Thank you. Take care.
All righty. Anyone else wish to address the commission? Chris, you see anybody online?
Nope, nobody's connected in.
Okay, real good. We'll move on then. The consent calendar. Anybody wish to take anything out? Motion by Commissioner Bailey. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Lemmerman. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. We are,
So we need to go back.
I got ahead of myself. Okay. All right. So my mistake, we're going backwards to the public hearing. Do we need a motion to go into that?
Yes.
Okay, we need a motion for the public hearing.
I move we go into the public hearing.
Motion by Commissioner Lemmerman, support by Commissioner Bailey. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. Assuming, Jim, are you handling this?
I'm happy to. Jim Wheeler, Greater Gratiot, and we also administer the Brownfield Authority. That's what this is. The Brownfield Authority has approved this already, and then the Pine River Township has gone along with it. So the actual public hearing for a Brownfield Authority is done at the county level, and that's what tonight is for. In any case, what this is going to be is, I think as I talked a little bit about it at last meeting, as we said it, is for a new facility proposed at the Alger and M46. Right now, though, we have an old hotel that's been deemed an unsafe building. They have a restaurant there that's closed down and in extreme disrepair. And then there's an old bowling alley / a lot of things, I think, that's back there. So 3 buildings that we have there, and part of our brownfield authority is going to be is for dollars to demolish these sites. And what it's allowed to is under because the buildings are deemed at this point not good anymore from that standpoint. So it's from that standpoint is why we can use the brownfield authority. There's also some asbestos and some of that. And basically, we also have somebody that's representing the owner here. And Alan Gatlin has that. And then Dave from Triterra, who wrote the plan for us as we have it going forward. But the actual portion that we would be talking about that would be reimbursable to the developers, $883,000 and some extra cents off of that. The good portion of that, because of the way this would be structured, that about $668,000 would actually, the reimbursement would come back through the state, and about $215,000 is local support of it. But again, you have to remember, the only way there's going to be any benefit to them is not going to be in the demolishing this thing. It's going to be something else built on it, because it freezes the value of the property it is now. The new property comes on, the additional dollars that go up, and that's where you capture these over a period of time. So that's how it comes back to us. So as far as our county goes, this is a super project. We've got 3 buildings there. The one old hotel still has water in that pool. They opened that door up and I wouldn't walk in there to save my life. So it's nasty is a good definition. So in any case, so we get that all demolished, we get it all the way down to the ground. And then from there, I think the developer's still in the process of trying to decide exactly how it would be configured, what would go in there. But from our standpoint, from aesthetics and everything else to the entrance to the community up there, both the Pine River Township, Alma, and the whole north side, having that gone would be a huge thing for us. So it seems like a real win-win, kind of all of us in circumstance. And that's what makes a brownfield really attractive to people. And again, the whole definition of a brownfield is it's just to make something for a developer to be equal to going out and picking a greenfield site. So instead of going down the road a mile where you could just buy a piece of land, build it there without any other problems, you go here, you got to get rid of all this stuff. And that's where the brownfield helps them reimburse them for that. So they don't get dollars up front. How they get paid for it is you have to build onto it, and then you pay your property taxes, and then some of those come back to you until you've paid back what the approval amount is. So it's a good program. The state's had it for a long time. It was initially used more for pollution. We always thought of brownfield, but obsolescence is also a big form of brownfield. And it's what's helped us in some of our communities, for our downtown buildings, where they're just obsolete for what you want to do with them now. This place has got obsolete written all over it. It's beyond obsolete, so it needs to come down. But
Jim, is there a timeline on when this is gonna take place? Demolishing all?
The demolishing, Alan, I think maybe.
So we have selected, we've been through the bid process already. We've selected a vendor. And I think is that the owner would like the property demolished as soon as possible. So I think, as I understand it, if it's approved here today and approved in Pine River Township, it gets submitted to the state. And as soon as the state approves it, we'd be ready to start demolishing within weeks.
Okay, so I'm sure the winter time won't discourage you a whole lot. Just let it down.
No, the bidders, the winning bidder said that, we're kind of tentatively planning February. Thinking that
Is there been a site to pick yet to bring all that demolition to?
The bidders have a landfill and they'll take it to, I think maybe in Harrison, but I'm not sure. So there'll be a lot.
Yeah, be gone.
Yeah.
It'll be gone soon. The addition just got to kind of wait till the whole plan's developed out there. But again, this really doesn't give them the benefit of it until there's a development that happens. So, and the sooner it happens, the better, because there's a time limit on this and the meter starts running as soon as we've approved it. So the developer gains by doing it sooner rather than later.
Now, is there any time in the plan that redevelopment would occur?
We don't have it yet in there, but like I say, the kicker to it is that it's a period of time and it's a fixed period of time that you have on this. And so if you wait 5 years, you don't get additional years. So
To demolish, but also to put back.
correct. That's where the incentive's going to come, is you have to put it back because you've got to have the growth and value. It's not going to substantially change the value of the property tearing this stuff down.
Well, that corner's been abused for years, and it's nice to get that out of there and something put back. That's
I agree completely.
I think basically that bowling alley's been not a bowling alley for 40 years, I think.
Long time. Long.
It's just gonna take much to take that building down.
Yeah.
It's actually in better shape than the other two.
Really, that's amazing because I think it's been 40 years since.
It'd be a long time.
good.
So, one other, has the developer considered what kind of hotel's gonna go there? The reason I ask is we're kind of looking at the airport to get a hotel that people flying in on a plane would say, hey, I want to stay at that hotel, you know?
So his preference would be for a Hampton Inn, for an 80-room Hampton Inn is his preference. They are significantly more expensive than, say, a Holiday Inn Express. Both of those are significantly more expensive than, say, an Alma hotel or a locally owned or a local non-branded, if you will. So he's looking at all of those options, but what he's told me primarily is he's furthest along in discussions with Hampton.
Good. Okay. And there was an idea for a conference center also. I think that'd be a great location for that.
So right now it would have just a small conference room.
But that's possible.
It's kind of all I have. Unless anybody else has any questions.
Ready? Okay, we also need to ask if there's any member of the public that wishes to comment on the public hearing. Chris, anyone online yet?
It's Matt here. Nobody else is connected in right now.
Okay, real good. All righty, then we're looking for a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Bunting. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. Then we're looking for a resolution to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Bunting. Any discussion on that? All those in favor, aye. Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. Very good. Thank you, gentlemen.
If we dismiss everybody by rows, the sheriff.
One's done.
And number 10.
All right. So administrators report, Chris, you given that or anything
I think it's already.
Nothing? in the packet?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a written report. Anybody have any questions on that? Some monthly reports and things.
I think you missed the consent calendar.
No, I did that out of order.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had to back up. Alrighty, then let's move on to commissioners' reports. John?
Just so everybody is aware of it, the city of Alma has joined into a interlocal agreement with Arcata, Seville, Pine River, and Sumner Townships as far as fire safety goes. the townships had been having an issue with the cost, transparency behind the costs, and the accountability of the costs and the speed of the service. So this is a work in progress, but I think this is a big step in the right direction. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of transparency and a lot of room for the townships to be able to make comments and steer how this thing goes. I bring it to your guys' attention because they're talking that to improve the timeliness of service, that they may be another fire station put up someplace. And it sounds like it's between the airport and Riverdale, someplace in Riverdale, as far as another fire station to serve that area. So I thought that was interesting. My other report on the broadband committee, our last full committee meeting, we got to talk to the administration of two ISPs. And it was a really interesting talk. And at the time, we were gearing up for these Robin grants. And neither team seemed to be very interested in the Robin grants at all. Both entities are having a hard time with labor. And they both have a vision of where they're going, and they're sort of like constrained because they don't have the labor to get done what they want to get done. So neither one was very interested in the Robin grants. And then we find out about 10 days after that one of the ISPs has a map of Gratiot County that shows that Gratiot County is 100% covered. And this map has been filed with the state. So as far as the state of Michigan is concerned, we're already 100% covered by broadband, albeit wireless broadband. So unless and the we is a little nebulous, whether it's us, the county, or the people of the county that make a big stink and say that these maps are in error, we're precluded from the Robin grants. And that was frustrating for us because we had put a lot of time and energy into moving into those grants. So we had a small meeting last week. George and Matt and I and Tracy was present for a while, and we decided that we're going to pull back on the broadband committee and wait till the next round of grants comes around, which I think are the BEAD grants, George.
BEAD, yes.
And just kind of cease activities for a while and slow down Wideband Group, who's our advisor, because, we're chewing through the money that the commissioners gave us to run this thing. And so we just thought, let's go into conservation mode and slow down for a minute. The only other thing that I would say, and then George might have some things to say about it, is Matt made the point that he finds it really hard to believe that we're going to get to the last mile with fiber optic cable, that there's probably going to have to be some wireless for the most remote areas of the county. One way or another, there's going to have to be that. So I think he was going to try to schedule, he and Ray from Wideband Group were going to try to schedule some meetings where we would talk to Frontier. I think there was two, wasn't there, George? Frontier and somebody else.
Yeah, there was two entities. One was Frontier and CMS.
Oh yeah, and CMS Internet. Just to talk about that a little bit more. And unless anybody has any questions, that's all I got to say on that.
Right, well, as far as doing anything with the state, I would turn it over to Representative Filler, incoming Representative Nyer, and incoming Senator Houck to work on getting that thing turned around.
To get that map changed.
Right. That's what I would suggest. And you said the fire department, the communities was Alma, and what was the other two townships?
So Elma and the 4 townships are
Alger.
Sumner, Seville, Arcata, Pine River. And if you look at the Elma City Council November 9th minutes, it's all in there. I think all the townships have signed on. Arcata just did last Wednesday night.
Alrighty, thank you. George, you have anything?
No, other things will come across later. One of the things that we talked about was the continuing on with the broadband discussion. We're gonna be putting on our website and also in the newspaper, and some other, maybe Facebook, that type of thing. And we're gonna put out a website that citizens can access. And through that, and we're hoping that the citizens are out in the rural part of Gratiot County can look and see where their home is at and see whether this map says that they're covered. And they know whether they are or not. And if they're not, that's when we would like them and follow the website. They'll have a way to report that to the website. Because I know I've talked to many people, township meetings, they don't have internet. They don't have wireless internet. They have no way to get wireless internet. So there's a difference of opinion on how well we're covered. And so we're going to be putting that out so people can find for themselves so that they can help themselves out and help the county out. And so, that's all I've got to say on that. Went to Hamilton, North Star, Lafayette, Wheeler, townships, Commission on Aging. I'm winding up the year on that. I got a Board of Health meeting tomorrow. That's it.
Ready? I don't have anything. Jan?
No.
Sam?
Just a couple townships, said North Shade last night, they're having a meeting tonight to take the last 2 windmills, that were out of the Fulton project that they're going to go into North Shade. They're having a public hearing tonight about it. That's why those guys all left. And last night we were talking about, they have some blight problems. I talked to him again about about our project that we have. Got some costs from Chris today, notified them. Going to pick the paperwork up for them to maybe sign a contract with the county. They'll probably do that the first of the month, their next meeting. They're trying to do it on their own. And they got a guy, one of their township guys are going out, knocking on doors saying, you got to clean this place up. He's saying, I don't want this job no more. So I think they're going to sign on. And then at Fulton, they're just working on ordinances. They hired this law firm out of Lansing to try to wrap them up. So be something where like Clinton County, they did the same one in Clinton County where you have to have much setback. You really can't put a windmill in. Just Sam Smith's opinion last night driving there, thinking to myself, I'm looking at these lights all around me flashing. And I'm thinking Fulton Township, I drive by 3 cutoffs on 57 and there's 40-foot tubes alongside the road in Fulton Township, getting ready to go north of Grant Road, 2 miles. And they're going to see them. And everything north of them, north of Grant Road, is going to be better for those townships. And everything to the east and to the west of them is going to be better for those townships. And I thought to myself, I should just mention this to them, but it's a little late now. There was just a small group of people that knew puppies, and I was just amazed how they got that all turned around. And so these windmills are still coming. I think there's 72 of them, and Newark and North Shade and Washington, and some of them are going to get them. And they're putting the last 2. They're having a meeting in New Haven on Thursday, I believe, to take the last 2 for those. And so then the 74 are coming. They didn't, this grown, they just give them to somebody else. And I thought, my gosh, and this really has nothing to do with it, but a year ago, I'm watching Fulton Schools begging on the Facebook page and had a GoFundMe from the world for $66,000 for band uniforms. The band uniforms were 35 years old or something like that, and they were falling apart for $66,000. And I said to the county, the CZF, who does their assessing, what would have been the first paycheck for the Fulton Schools when they're up and running? $226,000 from the windmills, year one. I thought, my gosh, it's kind of sad that didn't happen. And they're going to see him. They're going to be just across the road. And I mean, they didn't, I don't know what they're thinking, but they're meeting and they have these lawyers that are just going to have this setback, and they're going to be really the only, it's not like it was the first one here in the county to put them in. They're here and all around it.
They got the distinction of being the last if that won't happen. They decided, because there's not any more coming.
No.
There's no more coming.
No.
So they're gonna add up. They decided not to, so.
The only way more that'll come is that if the state decides to take over zoning and say, we're in this big wind project with the president, we're gonna put him here. You won't have any problem with that, but so that's what they're doing, Fulton Township's doing, and and I live there, and just thought, that's about it.
Alrighty. We're moving on to new business. First up, meter investments. Mike, are you handling that? Or Terry?
Okay. Good afternoon. Good to see you all again. So when I was here in August, and I apologize, I should have included this information in your packet from August, so you didn't have to go digging covered. Just to give you a little bit of a refresher, in August, we looked at potentially investing about $10.5 million. At that time, the marketplace was at about 335. And that was going to projected to produce a return of about $357,000. And then after some discussion amongst all of us, I was asked to do a little bit more in-depth analysis, come back with a little bit more realistic number. I think everybody thought that number was a little optimistic. It was a little aggressive from a standpoint of what would be available to invest. At the time, we were using all of the funds of the county, including the ARPA money in that projection. And so a number of discussions between Terry and myself. And so I made the decision just to leave ARPA out of this projection that I was going to run for you now, simply because of the unpredictability. So there's no way to guarantee that those funds could be tied up even for a year, let alone 2 or 3 years. You do have restrictions as to when you need to spend them, so on and so forth. So the information that is in front of you now is an update to that information. I chose to utilize just delinquent tax and the general fund for this analysis. That brought the the allocated investments down to a total of 7.3 million. Interest rates have also gone up during the last few months. We are now looking at about a 4.44 as of last week. This week, rates are down a couple of basis points, so it's basically the same. And that would produce a net result of about $270,000 annualized in return based on just those funds. The investments that Perry has already purchased are going to generate about another $20,000 for the year on top of that. And then whatever short-term investment opportunities that ARPA funds are able to utilize would also generate additional return as well. But I was asked to focus on simply those funds that we felt comfortable that we could invest on a year-round basis. So that is pretty much it with respect to the update with respect to the marketplace and the cash flow. Did anyone have any additional questions for me?
So on this page 4 of your presentation with the sample asset allocation, the year 0 to 1, are you of $1.8 million? Because you said the 7.3 million, but are you here? You've got a total portfolio of 9.1. Okay, so this 1.8 million in cash stays in cash
Correct,
the whole time. Okay.
correct,
So it's for short-term needs. So
correct.
in this 0 to 1 year.
Mhm. Yeah, you want me to just walk you through it?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, just we covered this information in August, but just to reiterate it again, what we typically aim for is about 80% of your low point of whatever funds that we're looking at. Okay, so based on, if you look at your previous page, based on a 12 to 18 month analysis of your balances for those two funds, I determined that your low point is typically in the summer. It's typically around June or July. Okay, so your low point last year on that was $9.1 million. So that's kind of our starting point.
Okay.
Okay, so we would leave 20% of that liquid. That could be in a local government investment pool. It could be kept at the local bank, so on and so forth. So that is the minimum amount that would stay liquid through the year. That amount will increase as you receive tax revenues, so on and so forth. But we will not invest above that unless specifically asked to, or we're provided with additional funds. So as we go through each year of the maturity distribution schedule, as you can see here on the graph, the existing securities are investments that Terry's already purchased herself. And so the total for the first year, for example, would be about $1.8 million. Okay, but Terry already has about 723 of that invested. So we would only purchase $1.1 million. That's why the note here says for new securities, the yield and the return, it would be on those new securities.
Okay, so if we gotta maintain cash of $1.8 million, the $1.1 million that's in the light green, would that be like a money market? Is that what you're saying for that?
So the $1.8 million that you're seeing here in cash and the $1.8 million in the 0 to 1, those are two different amounts.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the $1.8 million in the 0 to 1 would be in US Treasuries, short-term investments such as commercial paper. There would be another $1.8 million that is referenced here on the cash line that would be kept at a local government investment. Turn to use class, Michigan class. Okay, Michigan class is the local government investment pool that you use, and you would leave that. The idea is that the balance in class, because it is a liquidity vehicle, is what fluctuates rather than that of the investment portfolio. We shoot to have the investment portfolio remain fairly constant over the life of the investment strategy. So as things change, as the market changes, as we look to make different asset allocation and maturity distribution recommendations to our clients, that will involve conversations with Terry. And we might say, well, we're going to recommend that you put a little bit of money further out. And as maybe you bring it in, it just depends on whatever the market is doing, and she'll pre-approve that strategy. But the idea is that we keep that 7.3 million invested year round, year to year.
So I'm looking at Terry's investment report here. You know, as these things mature, we're looking at moving that money to you, right?
Correct. That is typically what happens as individual securities that were purchased outside of our investment strategy. As they mature, we actually also will take a look at the marketplace and the value of those investments and whether it would make sense to cash those out. Most of them were bought recently. So you were in a pretty good market rate, but just as an example, this is not necessarily applicable to you, but as an example, I have a client over in Ingham County that they had some CDs that had about a year left on them that were purchased at 20 or 25 basis points. And so with their interest penalty of 180 days interest at only 25 basis points, the interest penalty was so low, it made all the sense in the world. And we went ahead and did that. We cashed those out. We took the penalty, we reinvested it in higher yielding, still allowable investment, and ended up with a net gain to the client of about $100,000 simply by making that move. So that's part of what we will do is ordinarily, yes, sir, we wait for those to mature, but we will also do an analysis to see if it makes sense to cash those out and put them in something different.
Yeah, and I'm looking on this report of million at commercial bank various funds at a 1%.
That's our ICS, insured cash.
They work on.
That's okay. Yeah, that's all right. Got it.
And we'll do and once we move this process along, that'll be a more in-depth conversation that Terry and I have with respect to local bank participation, FDIC insurance, safety and security, alternates for standpoint of liquidity and yield and so forth. That's a little bit more in-depth conversation that she and I will have.
Your weighted average yield there, the 4.44, you were gonna charge the county 10 basis points?
Yes,
And is that after the 10's off?
yes.
Terry, is the next, I don't even know the chain of command here. Does the board do this or do you do this yourself?
The board, as far as for this,
Yeah, do you even need a motion or do you act independently yourself?
no, for the county, the general fund, there needs to be a motion.
Okay.
Yes, for the general fund.
Are we to that point?
We are, that's why.
There you go. Good.
Yes.
I think we're looking for a motion, John.
I'll make that motion.
Probably have a motion by Commissioner Lemon. We have a second. Support by Commissioner Bailey. Any further questions on?
Yeah, I have a question. We met with you in August. We don't have any money invested with you.
I'm sorry?
We don't have any money invested with you.
Correct.
You've been the last 6 months. I mean, why haven't we done any of this? You were in August and I thought we were kind of getting rolling and we almost had to ask at the last meeting, where is this gentleman? I mean,
That was not his fault. That was us getting our numbers together. Chris and I both getting him what he needed to do the analysis.
I see. Okay. I guess I just looked at it being an investment guy. I probably would have been right at it and tried to do it tomorrow. Maybe that's just me. Because I didn't know if I asked the question, I think a couple of meetings ago, are we doing business with this company yet or not? It was just, no, I don't think we are. And I didn't know why we weren't. If we had.
That's why.
Okay.
We needed to give him our numbers so that he could do the analysis.
Okay. Any other questions? Voice vote or?
Yeah, there's not a dollar amount. I just put access general fund.
Okay. All right. So.
Would I have your business card also before you leave?
Of course.
All righty, are we ready to vote then? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. Great.
Very good. Look forward to working with you all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up,
Thank you.
Chris, you're handling next up. Policies and procedures policy, is that what?
Yes.
For the next agenda item, I have two attachments. One is a memo explaining a policy that the county has and what is being updated in it. And then the second attachment is the policy itself. The policy itself is approximately 45 to 50 pages long. What this is, it's the Gratiot County Uniform Grant Guidance Policy. It is required for any municipality from a school to a township to a county to have if they receive federal grants. And what it does is it outlines the requirements for all financial procedures related to spending those federal grants. Typically, federal grants are the most restrictive of all monies to be spent. So that is why each municipality has their own procedure related to that. I wrote this with the assistance of Yo about 5 years ago. There was one particular page that I left blank because it did not apply to Gratiot County at that time. That relates to subrecipient monitoring. And that is the page that I filled in. If you look at if you want to see the actual page, it's on page 37 of the grant policy, but I also just copied and pasted that section into the memo. This past year, we have 2 grants that we require subrecipient monitoring for now. One of them is our Parks and Rec program as a grant that goes out to locals. And then the second one obviously is the ARP funds that we grant out to locals. So what I did is I added essentially 4 bullet points that lay out the process for Gratiot County when we monitor these entities that are these subrecipients that we give money to. I'm just asking that the board approves this updated policy version.
So the policy would cover federal grants and like our parks grants, not really nothing to do with federal, is that, or unless that money is, we get money from the feds for part of
That is a millage.
village money? Okay.
But what we do,
Is classified all under one, kind of?
we treat all purchases the same way we do federal purchase at the highest level of scrutiny, documentation, approvals. That way nothing falls through the cracks. That way someone doesn't spend some federal money and doesn't know which set of rules to look at. So we use.
Grab those rules and everything stays there.
That's why we treat Parks and Rec subrecipient monitoring the same way we do ARP.
Who wrote, I see that it was originally written in 2017. Who wrote that first policy?
I did.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, and you wrote this one again? Okay, has an attorney checked this over?
No, but this goes through the auditors look at this every year. The auditors actually helped me write the first version of it.
So Yo has looked at this?
Yes.
So basically this is coming from Yo and Yo. They want to see this.
The subrecipient monitor, yes.
Okay, and you're saying the changes on page 37?
It would have been added to page 37 of the policy.
Okay, so is the new part, the different type here?
Yes, the indented portion.
Okay,
Before.
just, just what I like to see when you have something changed, it would normally be in bolded or in italic type or something, just makes it easier to pick out a change.
I will no longer indent them. I will.
I thought we brought this up before several times in different meetings, that we wanted to see where the changes were being made. But also, I guess the thing that kind of bothered me when I read it was the very last page. Employee accountable. And I would imagine that everybody would be very cautious on any of the money that they get and how they spend it. And so, I mean, everybody, there was you have here or dismissed, suspended or dismissed. If you made a mistake, do we dismiss you?
I think that would depend on how big of a mistake that was and what that mistake was. But as a financial director, if there is a very large blunder, I would expect my county administrator to take that under consideration. But I would also like to remind you that in 2017, you did pass this as county policy too. If we need to go through it again, we can set it up for a different time.
You want to help with that?
They did.
Okay. They'll be coming.
You need a motion. You need a motion to this. You need a motion to support. Change this policy or to add to this policy.
Made the motion.
Yeah.
You made the motion.
Making a motion.
Oh, I'll
Motion
support.
by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Haley to approve this change in the existing policy. Requested, and you worked with Yo and Yo on this. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? She passed.
Thank you.
Okay. So we've covered A and B here.
Yes.
Okay, all righty. Then we're on to the board members. 8 cap first here.
Yep.
Angie, can you
So-
guide us through this?
Yep, I'll try. So ACAP members are actually assigned as delegates from who sits in those seats, which is Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Bunting. So in the past, Jennifer Cook has been the delegate for Commissioner Smith, and I think it was just this year we appointed Michelle Ringel as delegate for Commissioner Bunting. And they are showing up to the meetings and they would like them to be renewed for another term. You guys approve?
Yes. I make a motion that we go ahead and reappoint to,
Jennifer Cook and Michelle Ringel
yes,
as delegates. It's a 2-year term.
yes.
Motion by,
Second.
second by Commissioner Lemmerman. Any discussion on this? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed.
So the next one is the Commission on Aging. There's 5 board members that sit on that board from each district. And we have District 1 and District 3 has been vacant for over, I think it's almost 2 years. And when we did this last advertising, we actually did receive 3 applicants for Commission on Aging. Unfortunately, only one of those applicants fell into the districts that have seats that are open and that are up for renewal, which is District 1 and 3 are expiring at the end of this year. Actually, I think they expired in 2021 and we had no applicants. So Brenda Pratt's application, she does cover District 1. So I would ask that you would consider her for that. And then item number 6 is for the members at large. I did find out from Jennifer Cook that members at large do have voting rights at their board meetings. So I reached out to, well, actually Chris reached out to Tim Weaver and I reached out to Hillary Shims, and they are in agreement that they would like to sit on the board as members at large. So I would ask that you would appoint Brenda Pratt first.
I would make that motion.
A second.
Okay, do we want to handle the, do we do the Ringel one? We did.
We did.
Okay. Yeah. All right, motion by Commissioner Bailey. Yeah, and second by Commissioner Bunting for Brenda Pratt, correct?
Yes.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye? Aye, opposed, nay?
And then I would ask for a motion for Hillary Shims and Timothy Weaver for Commission on Aging members at large.
Good. You need a support?
A motion by Commissioner Smith, support by Commissioner Bailey. On appointing those 2, any discussion on that? Those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay? Motion passes.
So the next consideration for board is the Planning Commission. We have 3 seats that are coming up for expiration on December 31st. And currently Carla Childers and David Justin sit in those seats and they have reapplied. And then the other seat was Caroline Ross, who has passed away. So we only had one other advertising in the paper. I had Robert Enter, I think is how you say his name, apply. And so we only had 3 applicants for 3 seats. So I would ask that you would appoint those people.
So
Motion by Commissioner Bailey. We have a second. Support by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay? Motion passed.
So Carolyn Ross sat on the Parks and Rec and or no, on the Parks and Recs along with the Planning Commission. And there is a Planning Commission seat on the Parks and Recs by the bylaws. So when David Justin applied for his term to be expired, he did apply for Parks and Recs position that Carolyn Ross as representative from the Planning Commission. So I would ask that we would appoint David Justin to the Parks and Recs Board for the Planning Commission seat.
So he's sitting on two boards though?
He would be.
Okay.
And that is the way that seat stands, because the Parks and Recs has to have a member from the Planning Commission sitting on its board. So that's the seat that he's filling, because he's on the Planning Commission.
Okay.
So if you don't want to appoint him, we'd have to open it up to the other candidates that are on the Planning Commission board to see who would want to apply. And David Justin.
Okay. I make a motion to approve Justin. And for person.
Motion by Commissioner Bailey, second by Commissioner Lemmerman. Any discussion on that? All those in favor, aye? Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. So then what are we down to?
We're down to the Parks and Recs. We have two seats that have come up for expiration, and that is Ken Davis and Jerry Lewis are holding those seats right now. We do have a vacant partial term that came up that will expire in 2024. So we actually have 3 seats, and we did receive 4 applicants. So this is where you're, and as far as who you would like to appoint for
So,
those 3 seats.
Jerry Lewis and Ken Davis are reapplying for their positions.
Correct.
Should
And we
we
have,
handle that first? Or
it's
what's the pleasure?
Those 3 seats, you gotta pick 3 of them.
pick 3 out of the 4.
We got 4 names and we need,
I'd make a motion that we reappoint Jerry Lewis, Ken Davis, also add Tim Lambert.
Who else is on there besides Tim?
Emily Lewis.
there's another application from Emily Lewis.
I will second George's motion. And I don't know this, but if Jerry and Emily are husband and wife or father and daughter or something like that, that would be, in my mind, a strike against both of them sitting on the Parks and Rec.
At the same time.
Yeah, at the same time.
Does anybody know the fact on that?
I know Jerry, he's from St. Louis,
Emily's his daughter.
is,
So that would apply. Give that thinking.
Yeah, I
So
suppose.
we have a motion by Commissioner Bailey, second by Commissioner Lemmerman for Lewis, Davis, and Lambert. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. Hopefully Emily can find something else to apply for, or be something open. So we are all the way down to unfinished, Mike.
Number 10.
Number 10. They haven't been crossing them all off.
We're quite busy, Jan. I know you asked me to speak at this. Very, very busy. Usually this time of the year, we slow down a little bit because of the weather. The weather hasn't been that bad out, so we've been quite busy. Got the storm coming up this weekend. Anticipating a lot of stuff going on, a lot of roads closed, maybe some power outages. But we have enough people on that will be able to handle that even over the holidays. Jail has been extremely busy, but with the work of Judge McDonald in District Court, getting people out on tethers and GPS and stuff like that. So our jail population goes up on the weekends, and by Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning, we're back down again. So I haven't spoke to you in a while, but election went off in November and we didn't have any problems at any of the polling places or anything like that. Things went well, and I've conversed with Ange, and I think for the most part, everything went well and Board of Canvassers certified everything and we were good, so.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about, and actually the reason I'm bringing it up was it was talked about today at the school that I was at. How is it going with the drugs and stuff like that in our community?
Drugs is very prevalent in Gratiot County, very, very prevalent. And, you know, when I first got into it, you dealt with a lot of marijuana and stuff like that. And the drug problem in this county is quite severe out there and mainly meth. A little bit of cocaine, a little bit of heroin, but mainly meth. And
How about that new one that there's three, fentanyl, is that what it's called?
well, they're putting fentanyl in with the meth and then with the cocaine and heroin. So you don't do straight fentanyl, you mix it with something else. Yeah, very, very, very prevalent in this community. People don't realize, but it's here.
Do we know exactly mostly where it's coming from or?
Lansing, Saginaw, where it comes from.
Sheriff, just you standing here. I kind of messed up because a couple of meetings ago, a Park and Rec meeting. We were kind of talking about next summer and as we were talking through things, they said, you know, it'd be really nice if the sheriff could have a car come by the parks about 9 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays. Just to do a drive through because sometimes they have trouble getting out of there. And I said, well, have you asked the sheriff? And I think somebody said yes, but it's been like a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I don't recall. And maybe, you know, we would need something from them every year just to remind them in the spring to have the guys go out there. Friday and Saturday nights at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, peak time.
Yeah,
It's pretty busy.
you're in high demand.
Yep.
Yeah.
So drunks are starting to hit the road.
Yeah, it's I'd say our busiest times are between 8 PM and 1 AM on Fridays and Saturdays. Yeah.
Another question I have for you too. Do you see an increase of marijuana with drivers? Like, are you stopping drivers because they're?
Well, that law is very confusing, Jan. If you have a medical marijuana card, you have to prove that they were driving bad in order to arrest them for driving under the influence of marijuana. They don't have a medical marijuana card, then you got to prove that their ability to drive was impaired. We don't see a lot of that. Mainly we see if we arrest somebody for operating the influence of drugs, it's either meth or heroin or cocaine.
Okay. Well, just so your schools are, I think I've been at one of the schools for a few days and it was an issue that they talked about today and you know, kids that come to school and you know that their parents are.
Yeah, we get a lot involved with child protective services a lot in situations like that.
Yeah.
I guess we had a 2-year-old that was overcome with marijuana edibles.
Yeah, I seen that.
Our fire chief was not happy.
Yeah, it's I heard about that and it's
Some parents need to be held accountable for what they
yes, they do.
do,
Yes, they do.
don't do.
Right.
That little kid almost was close.
Yep.
This is probably the first time being in the schools, even when I first started in 2019, that I have seen so many special needs children that are. You gotta have one-on-one with them. I mean, it's not just 1 or 2, it's like 5 or 6 in a class. I think this is sad. Is it caused from the drugs? I find it hard to believe that it's caused from just birth defects.
It's all combinations, Jan. I mean, it's not just the drugs, but it's all combinations. A lot of factors into that.
It's very sad.
And I've got a kid that's being taken care of by an 8th grader, you know.
Yep. Sad.
Sad.
And I don't know what it is, but it seems like there's more kids that I don't know if it's a marijuana syndrome baby or alcohol or whatever, but they're so low and there's so many.
Yep.
So, oh, it's sad.
Yep. You gonna say something, Sam?
Well, I just thought when John was kind of apologizing to, he's gonna admit to maybe speeding or something.
Yeah, no, but you're still gonna be on the Parks and Rec board, correct? No, you will not be. Relay that just, I see Jerry all the time, so I'll relay that to him that if they want some extra patrol, we'll try to do the best we can in the summers.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yep.
Hey, something else I'm finding too, 11 o'clock at night, I leave the light on in my apartment. And I found out there was another lady over here in Ithaca. 12 o'clock at night, there's a knock on my door. And first I'm thinking I'm hearing something, and then all of a sudden I hear it again. I don't answer it. But is there somebody like going around knocking on doors?
Somewhere, I don't think we've got any calls here in the city or out in the county, Jan.
They'd be gone.
Yeah.
And,
Certainly call.
yeah, this is like during the week.
Yeah, I would call.
You would? Okay.
It's to know somebody's suspicious in the neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah. You might see somebody walking down the sidewalk or in the stairwell or wherever, so.
Yeah.
Somebody wanted pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
You might guess.
All righty. Any unfinished business? Yeah, the motion to move into the finance meeting by Commissioner Bailey. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Lemmerman. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye? Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. Boy, John.
All right, this meeting will come to order and I'll let Mr. Oosterhoff take it away.
Thank you. We're approaching the last week and a half of the first quarter of the fiscal year. So I do plan on having a little bit of extra narration in next month's budget to actual so that we can take a look to see how the county financials are stacking up at the first quarter on the way through. The finance director's report, drain prepayments for the fiscal year now have totaled $149,896. These 3 drain payments were made in the last 4 weeks after the approval. I believe it was the last meeting. There's approval of them. Tell you what, I'm pretty excited to hear about the potential for the interest earned on some of the cash balances that we have. Could wipe out some of these liabilities that would wash out some of these liabilities that we have going forward. We do have a new bill that has kind of just stalled down in the Senate right now that is going to actually unlock a lot of the restrictions that we would have on investment types going forward. So next year, we could be putting meter investments to work even more than they are expecting. So also excited.
I'm sure they're already attuned to that one.
Absolutely, yep. As far as our ARP funds and project lists updated, we have distributed just over $3.1 million now. Some of the most recent distributions include drawdown requests for 2 fire trucks and the remaining draw for Parrington's water tower restoration project. So Sam, if you drive by the tower, you might see that it's all nice and shiny and new now.
Well done, yeah.
They do have the possibility to draw down $1,000 more in that project, and I'm not sure if they're going to need to or not. We had our preliminary audit auditors on site last week for 1 day. As far as what they do when they come here in preliminary, they like to assess what our controls are over financial management. So they will make sure that we approve bills. They'll make sure that we have documentation for bills. And they look at all of our policies. They interview certain staff members. They work with my office for a little bit. They work with the treasurer's office for a little bit. And then they go back to their home office in Elma and regroup, start digging through all of the information that we've given them. They will be back as soon as the holiday is over for New Year's. They're expected back January 3rd. Then they will work another week at their office and then they will be here again the third week of January. As far as our MERS OPEB balance for the calendar year is down 8.3%. But the S&P is down 14.6%. So we're sitting at approximately $2.1 million ending balance there with an investment total that we put in a principal of 2.15. So despite the fact that it is down, or the S&P is down almost 15% on the year, we are almost even as far as what we have put into this account overall. So while it's not jumping up and down exciting news, it's good news considering.
It works, yeah.
Yes.
Much, yeah.
I'll go ahead and move over to cash balances. So you're gonna let me do that. At the end of November, we are looking at $9.15 million in the general fund, down from 9.5. COVID recovery fund, we're looking at about 4.8 million remaining in that. Delinquent tax 4.5, up from 5.2.5. Tax sale fees and proceeds up slightly, and then our residence denial interest remaining pretty close to even at about $60,000. Any questions on the cash balances for the month? Oh, go ahead and move to our November checklist. Give you a moment to take a look at that.
I had a question on the check register. And I think it was right on the very first page. Let me blow this up a little bit. I saw a fairly big check. I think it was like $30,000 to Motorola Solutions. And I just wondered, did that have anything to do with those radios?
That did not. This was a payment that was made for Central Dispatch. They have loans out through Motorola, self-financed. It has to do with equipment out there.
Oh, so they like leased the equipment?
It was not a lease, it was a purchase, but they also financed that purchase.
Okay.
I think, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, Motorola is big enough and has good enough relationships with municipalities that they do offer that service to Central Dispatches.
Purdue consoles out there. I noticed on the next page, we 49,000 to the Hero Center. Do you know what they were?
That was an ARP distribution.
Was that a first?
That was their first drawdown.
Okay.
They had multiple maintenance projects that were going on, and then
Good.
for 3 months' salary for the new Hero Center director who was brought on board.
Okay. They have some money.
Somebody,
They did.
somebody local or
I do not know the answer to that.
Told me what, my mind, I forgot what, but it's somebody local. A younger person. I recall.
There's also one here for 49,000 for Rural Center.
Yeah, that's what I just mentioned.
You mentioned, okay, sorry.
The Ashley Fire Authority, is that another distribution?
Yep, that would be a fire truck that was funded through ARP funds. At 76,641 was 100% of their share that was awarded to the fire authorities as a whole. So each of the fire authorities got that.
Struck up Pennsylvania. And they are planning on, they going and getting it right after the first year, I believe.
Any more questions on the check register? If not, why don't we move on?
I'll go ahead and jump over to the member revenue and expenditure report. As I was putting this together, I did not see anything that jumped out at me. And like I said, I will be providing this detail to you next month, along with any written narrative for any of the accounts that explaining the balances.
Any questions for Chris? All right, why don't we move on to the treasurer's?
I've got my usual investment and revenue and bank transfer reports. There's not anything unusual with any of them. I don't know if anyone's got any questions or not. We're about ready to move into our busier time of the year. Right after the first of the year, we've got show cause hearings, foreclosure hearings, and then settlement in March. So we're about ready to ramp up.
And just to reiterate, you'll be going over these to see if there's anything that we want to put over to the other account right away.
Yes, yes. When we walked out, Mike and I said we were going to get together right after the first of the year and sit down and start looking at those things. I know that a couple of the CDs we have already, or I've already contacted, and there wasn't a lot of penalty there, so it would probably be worth moving, but we're going to sit down.
0.65.
Yeah.
To me, those are no brainers.
No, yeah, I agree with you. And we're going to sit down and look at those, but that's a probability.
One thing I forgot to ask him, we had discussed amongst ourselves, and I'd like you to ask him from now on, if we have prepayments for drains.
Okay.
If that comes up, does he give advice on that as well? Like I think the last ones we prepaid were estimated 5.1%. So probably a no-brainer, but would he be giving us advice?
I'm sure he could if you wanted, Chris wanted him to, or if you guys asked him to, I'm sure he would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just think when it got tighter, when they got closer, if the rates continue to come up, and what we have to pay, I think then there's some decision making, whether you take the cash and spend it now, where do you think the rates are going versus, like you say, we're only getting 3 or averaging maybe 2.5.
Right.
No brainer.
But I'm sure if you wanted to ask him, he would be glad to help.
Close.
Sure.
To, You might think we know, but sometimes they know, but they know something's going on.
They've got their ear a little closer to the ground on stuff like that sometimes. Yeah,
Right. We can't make a lot of assumptions, you know.
yeah. And they're out there in the big world and they know, they hear what's really going on, what's expected to come, I think more than what we would, or I would anyway. So, yeah.
Terry, last year with the Yo and Yo audit, we had some findings with the delinquent tax fund.
Mhm.
Do you think we're gonna be good this year?
I do. Yes, I do. Yeah, I've spoken with Ally and yeah, I think we're going to be just fine this year.
Okay.
So as far as the balancing, is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about? Yeah. No, there shouldn't be any issues this year.
Was there any other, was delinquent tax fund the only issues we had last year?
That's the only one. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
one material finding.
Yeah. And that was. There was a lot of variables in that. There was stuff that was carried over and then there was stuff that I just hadn't realized needed to be done during that period of time that didn't need to be done. That was just a growing year and a carryover year. So it was a little rough, but it's going to be better this year.
Okay.
Well, we had to clean it up.
Yep, we did.
Higher than this year or anybody like that?
No.
We do it at our office.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we paid them $10,000-12,000 to straighten it out. Yeah, okay.
I paid that out of the delinquent tax fund. So,
Yeah, so,
I mean,
yeah.
it is, it's money, but yes,
So fine, go ahead. You need to go to more schooling for anything or?
there's always, yeah, that never stops. So yeah, I've got a conference actually coming up the end of January. So yeah, that never stops. It's always changing. Statutes are changing, rules are changing. So you can't ever stop going.
Right.
Oh, I'm glad you're doing well.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Hang on, Terry. What is this marijuana excise tax? What the heck is that?
That actually comes in for the sheriff's department.
Yeah, it's a tax collected on the marijuana shops.
Okay.
So it can only be spent for certain things. I think it was only a couple $100, wasn't it?
It's $219.
But, it was supposed to stop, and now they're gonna continue it, and they've added actually 28% to it
Yeah,
annually
yeah.
for,
So it'll be bigger next year,
Yep.
but
We don't spend that all in one place.
yeah,
I know, we had to really do some thinking about that.
yeah. But it took Terry and Chris and myself and my administrative assistant to figure out where we were gonna put that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured you would, yeah.
We knew you'd be watching it. Thank you.
You could invest it, that gentleman that was here earlier.
Yeah, he was drooling over that.
Yes. Anybody else have any other business or any public comments?
Make a motion that we draw the finance committee back into the regular.
Motion by Commissioner Bailey. We have a second to go back into regular session.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Bunting. Any discussion? All those, John, you gotta take the vote. That took a while for you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, so we're back in regular session. We need a motion to approve the financial report. Motion by Commissioner Bailey. We have a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Bunting. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. So,
Have a couple of recognitions now.
all righty,
I'd like
who's
to,
handling those?
well,
I just have a question. I mean, kind of here. As we all know, our administrator has tendered a resignation for retirement. And I'm wondering where we head with whether we're going to go back to the plan when we eventually hired her. And I think it was through the Township Association or someplace there where we posted the job.
it was actually the MEA, the municipal.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think, I think we ought to be thinking about doing that, and try to get somebody started on that, and I don't know if that'll go to our human resource person or how that would work or.
Well, yeah, well, we can talk about it here, but we're gonna have two brand new commissioners come the next meeting. So how do we want to handle that?
I think they would probably want to proceed with that, though. I mean,
I just want to make, I don't want to cut anybody out.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know, they might want to form a committee from the board or something. I don't know.
That I just hate to cut people out till. But I understand where you're going from, so we got to get going on it.
How much did we pay to do that? Did we pay?
It wasn't that bad, because we're a member. We're a member of the MEA,
Okay.
so.
I think they looked at our situation and I think we probably have a better situation now, you know, business wise and things like that. I think they looked at our situation and brought in a number of folks and they kind of pre-screened them. Can't remember how many we had, maybe half a dozen. We looked at them a couple of times, I think.
So what are you looking at us to go ahead and authorize?
I think we got to get started on it. I mean, I think to sit here and for us with two new commissioners, try to screen people in.
Yeah, why not?
Hey, I think you're better than you, or, you know, I think,
I understand.
I just think if they would know how to, what we have, where we're at. At least we ought to engage them, see what the cost would be, I think. You know, I wouldn't have to hire anybody. We don't have to put them on board right away. But I think somebody ought to engage them, you know, here before we meet again in a couple months.
Tracy's not going away right away, and she's already indicated that she's more than willing to help find somebody. So
I still think we need to engage somebody or think about engaging somebody, or we ought to at least call somebody and see what the cost is. And I don't know who does that, who'll do that, whether it be her or whether it would be Chris or whether it would be
I would
HR person.
if we give permission, she can go ahead and start that process.
We got to do that.
Make motion.
Motion
I make that as a motion.
I'll support it.
by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Bunting.
Not to hire anybody, just to engage and talk about them and see what it's gonna cost. I think they did come and talk to us before about what they looked at, what they did, how they got people, yeah.
Yeah, they asked us what we were looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michigan.
Same as that Michigan Municipal.
Yeah, it wasn't municipal, it's
It's a belief.
Still got the book on it. I can pull that
It's
off.
called MML,
yeah.
Michigan Municipal. And we're members.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, I think they had a person come and talk to us about what we're
They
looking,
did that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and what the cost would be and how many they would bring to us.
That started.
Yeah,
I think a good idea to get started.
Any further discussion on that? All those in favor, aye? Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed.
Okay, now we have a couple of recognitions. And I would make a motion that we would accept Resolution 2020-293, honoring John Lumberman for service to Gratiot County.
Motion by Commissioner Bailey, supported by Commissioner Smith. And do you have a motion to read or? Chris is gonna.
We didn't vote yet.
I'd just like to say before I read this, it was an honor to work with you.
Well, thank you.
Not only did you teach me a lot in finances, but you also taught me how to be a better person, how to read situations and how to react to them. So thank you very much.
thank you.
So honoring John Lemmerman for his service to Gratiot County. Whereas John Lemmerman has served Gratiot County and its citizens as a county commissioner. And whereas John Lemmerman has served as a member of Gratiot County Parks and Recreation Commission, playing a key role in the creation of a grant program that will benefit parks throughout the county. And whereas Commissioner John Lemmerman has served as a member of the Airport Authority and has worked tirelessly to ensure the stable future for this community resource. Whereas Commissioner John Limmerman has applied his expertise and service as Chair of the Finance Committee, offer professional stewardship of the Gratiot County funds. Whereas Commissioner John Limmerman has consistently demonstrated selfless service for the benefit of his community. And whereas Commissioner John Limmerman is completing the term of his service as Gratiot County Commissioner on December 31st, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved that all members of the Gratiot County Board of Commissioners honor and recognize their colleague, John Lemmerman, and his commitment to the ideals of service to his community and excellence in governments.
Righty. Oh.
Thanks.
Real quick, all those in favor, aye?
Where do you?
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passed.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, I have one next. Yeah, stand up for a minute, you guys. My knee is sore. Okay, on behalf of the commissioners, the staff, and the greater Gratiot community, it is my honor and pleasure to recognize Mr. Commissioner Chuck Murphy, leader on his leadership and service and his role of chair. Chuck has been dedicated and committed. Excuse me, I wrote this on paper and I couldn't read my paper, so I had to reread it. Chuck committed and dedicated his great benefit and citizen, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to do this a little different. In addition to his service as a leader, let me see if I can read off this yet. Recognize his service and recognize his role as chair. Chuck committed and dedicated his greatness benefits the citizens of Gratiot County, in addition to service as a person and a friend to all. He is widely recognized for his kindness and his generosity. In short, Chuck does the right thing for the right reason, a thing that most people don't see in people today. Not easy found. It has been a pleasure to have Chuck as a fellow commissioner. And I want to say too, I'm the world's worst reader when it comes to reading off things and out loud. But I want to say that this is not an easy job, as probably Commissioner Letterman and also Commissioner Murphy has found, and the rest of us that's been on this board for some time. Sometimes we don't see eye to eye, and sometimes it's hard to communicate with each other. We all have jobs during the daytime, and then to come in and try to run a meeting to late hours, it's not an easy thing. And again, a lot of us see things differently. I guess that's what kind of helps the community, that we all see each other's point of view. So I just want to say that I appreciate you guys running and being on the board, and you'll be missed. Now, I also have another one I'm going to read you guys. So I want to say, thereas Chuck Murphy has served Gratiot County and the citizens as a county commissioner for 2 terms. And thereas Chuck Murphy served as chair of the board for 2 years, and thereas in the role, Chuck Murphy has served as a Gratiot County representative to the Northern Michigan County Association and as a member of the board of Mid-Michigan District Health Department and Greater Gratiot Development. And thereas Chuck Murphy held with the septic problems in Riverdale saved millions of dollars for the community. Thereas Chuck Murphy worked for the health department on a plan to get our schools open after COVID-19. Thereas Chuck Murphy is completed his term as service as a Gratiot County Commissioner on December 31st, 2022. Therefore, be the resolve that the member of the Gratiot County Board of Commissioners honor and recognize his, can't read that word, Chuck Murphy, whatever it was, I'm sorry, Chuck Murphy and his committee to serve in his community and excellently in government. So I would like to presents this certificate to Mr. Murphy. You want to come up here and I'll give this to you? It says Angie Thompson, Clerk of Gratiot County Board of Commissioners, do hereby certify that the above resolution was passed by the Gratiot County Board of Commissioners at the regular meeting held on December 20th, 2022. Sorry, I'm the world's first reader. Congratulations. Okay.
It's a motion. Can I have a second?
Need a motion to answer.
I took hers.
Okay.
You got a motion. Favor aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Additional public comment. Anybody wish to address the commission? Anything online, Matt?
Nope.
Okay, then without objection, we've exhausted our agenda and adjourned.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, definitely.